You show me what you got. I'll tell you where to put it.
I'm pulling them right now because it feels good.
Oh, I mean, Finnan really is a fucking babe. I mean, the accent. Welcome back, Pot Coven. We three are here to talk today about shadow work. You've heard about it. You've wondered about it. Maybe you do it. Maybe you think it's a hoax. We are going to talk about it today.
Ooh. I don't know. It feels spooky just coming in with that entrance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It felt right. It felt right, you know?
Yeah.
I just love that shadow work kind of, I don't know. No one ever sat me down and told me exactly what shadow work is, and yet I knew what shadow work was, you know?
Yeah. I think especially, given your placements, you're a Capricorn, Scorpio, Aquarius, shadow work is just going to be something that you fucking encounter in everyday life.
I live in the shadow.
Yeah,
I was born in the darkness.
Yeah. You're a cave goat.
I am a cave goat, yeah. Any Capricorn with a Scorpio moon is not a mountain goat, not a sea goat. They are a cave goat. I almost said goat.
Actually, my mom's an Aries with a Scorpio moon, so she'd be something similar to that too. She'd be like a cave ram.
She's like
me.
Oh, yeah, very true. Yeah.
Isn't your rising sign like it's more you?
Yeah.
Than your other signs?
It's your identity, you know.
True.
So it's how you view the world, but then it's also what you see in the mirror. So I like to describe it as it's your hair, your skin, your face. Like your skeleton is your sun sign, you know. But I could look at a bunch of skeletons and not know which one's mine. But how I identify and how I view myself is my rising sign, aka my skin.
I like that. That's actually a really good description.
I feel like my hair is way more my moon sign.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But that's just because it's a Leo.
Yeah. Yeah. I always call the rising like a lens. Like it's the lens that you look through people, you see the world through and people see you through or something, you know, kind of, or like your filter. It's your light filter. See the life in Aquarius.
Ominous and...
You guys remember on Instagram when people used to just only edit their pictures with like the pre-made Instagram filters? Those are the days.
Do. I thought that was so cool too. Like a few years ago, I was like, "Damn, you're using Clarendon? That looks good, babe. That looks good."
Yeah, I'd be like, "Which filter are you using?"
Work on there.
It would just be like your feet at a bus stop in like sepia tone.
Oh my god. Yes, classic. I haven't taken like a black and white or sepia photo in so long.
Do you ever really take one, or do you just transfer it to that after you've already taken it?
In modern days, yes, we only transfer it. I guess
like
you can still get film that's like only black and white and sepia,
right.
But technically with your phone, even if you took it with like that filter on, you didn't take another picture, it's still technically capturing it, but it's just filtering it through the sepia filter. Right. Whereas like black and white film or sepia film is actually like, that's just what you get.
I hella miss film photography.
Right? Wait 2 weeks to get back all your pictures with your fingerprint on them?
Hell no. I was doing it myself.
The dark room.
Oh, what?
That was called dark room?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool. Talk about fucking shadow work.
I know, I was about to say, speaking of dark room. All right.
Oh my gosh, my photos were so creepy. I lived right next to a cemetery, so I often went over there and was taking photos.
That's dope.
I've been thinking about ghosts way too much lately, and I usually love cemeteries, but I was riding my bike past one last night, probably like 12:45, and I was like, oh God, how many spirits are there? Oh, don't look at me. Oh, don't. Like, turn my light down. Like, nobody knows I'm sensitive, please. I was a little drunk.
Yeah, dude. Well, and especially because you have some pretty psychic tendencies, like definitely all of your psychic abilities and your psychic skills are kind of like up leveling right now. Like, even if you don't have the sight at this moment, it's probably on the horizon. Might not want to look too close sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that kind of transitions perfectly into what we're talking about, because like if you dim that light, you shove that down inside of you, you're now creating this shadow self. So like
it's true. Okay, so let's see, how should we start talking about this? Because obviously, like, shadow work is as elusive as the work of shadow work is elusive.
It's as elusive
Um,
as a shadow.
exactly. You
Pretty
can't
as a
catch it.
shadow.
You can't
Graspy to
sew
the
it back on like Peter Pan.
right?
Um, so I started doing shadow work, I think, in 2016, actually. It hasn't been super long, but I didn't know it was called shadow work at the time. I just would get really, really fucking high and then wouldn't be able to avoid my darkest feelings. And so I just was had to be like,
Mhm.
okay, well, I guess I'm gonna look at it and figure it out. But probably didn't hear the phrase shadow work until like 2018 when I like really dug my heels into the spiritual community. But what about you guys?
I think mine started probably, I don't know, because my situation really got its start from my children being born and kind of facing postpartum depression. I was just telling one of my husband's friends about this because he has anxiety, and I'm like, dude, let me tell you about fucking anxiety here, honey. Um, and yeah, like having my son, my hormones went fucking haywire, and I did that whole body dysmorphia thing where I'm like, oh my God, my boobs would never be the same. Look at my belly. Yada, yada, yada. Like I thought I was fat a couple years ago kind of thing, you know? Um, and so each time I would have one of my kids, I would go through usually about like, I would say my shortest was 8 months of postpartum depression, and my longest was 24 months of postpartum depression.
Mm.
Um,
And
and it got longer and longer each time.
medically they say it's only a year. After a year, then you're just into regular depression. And I'm like, fuck you.
No,
You obviously have never had a baby.
yeah,
Oh
well,
my
and
God.
that kind of science, I don't feel like that's real because I don't feel like your body is actually back to what it was before birth until at least 18 months. Like honestly, oh, I just had a baby, 2 years ago or whatever. Yeah, that's a real fucking thing, guys. Like it's not easy to get your body to heal. I mean, one of my sons is almost 4, and I'm still trying to get my fucking stomach muscles to go back the way that they were just from expanding and contracting so many fucking times. Like, it's a difficult thing on your body. And when your hormones are responding to all that, like, it felt like I was a fucking 14-year-old girl again. It was so horrible. Everything someone said, anything anyone did, like I would literally hide in my fucking closet sometimes because I couldn't come out. And my husband would be like, our friends are here, they want to see you. And I would literally like hide from my friends. I was that depressed and that sad. And I finally had a couple of friends who just like they didn't really arrange it with each other, but they all kind of could tell something was off, and they would fucking show up unannounced, which I hate, but they would show up and they would be like, let me hold your baby, go take a shower or take a nap or read a book or whatever. They're like, take a fucking hour and a half to yourself, just chill. And so I really felt grateful for that, where I had lots of really good friends who fucking pulled me out of it. But as far as shadow work, like diving into it, it just was so intense because it was facing up against all my mother wounds and all my childhood wounds and like all of the shit that I had not previously addressed. And it was in the face of my children, and I think that was really hard to witness, to like witness my own weaknesses show up in our relationship with each other and to show up just in their personalities and be like, holy fuck. Like my youngest son has holes in his heart, and I kind of think that that's like almost a spiritual correlation of how I was feeling like during my pregnancy and during his birth. Was it felt like I had holes in my heart, like even sometimes in my worst moments I get that feeling right in my chest where I'm like, oh my God, something's missing. But as his heart heals, as the holes in his heart fill themselves, I feel like it's healing me as well. So don't forget that there is a physical component to shadow work as well. A lot of people can physically feel it. And so if you're feeling it and you're like, what's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly aligned to where you are. You're feeling what you need to feel.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We store our emotions in our body.
Mm-hmm. That's why you
And
gotta
not
do
to
purple
mention,
pose.
yeah, exactly. So you got to cry in pigeon position.
Oh.
Um, and then not to mention, yeah, like what's going on in our mind as well affects our body. It does. They're
Mm-hmm.
connected. It's all connected.
Well, I think it's really important to note too that like a lot of people if you're following the movement on Instagram or anywhere else in the online spiritual community, it's always like, let's journal, let's do this ritual, let's do this thing. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can literally be you just sitting on your bed feeling everything that you're feeling and letting it all out without telling yourself that you're dumb and stupid for feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about yours, Jess? Because I feel like yours hits a lot of like foundational shadow work kind of things. You know what I mean? Like you've
No,
got
I
building
don't, but I'll
blocks.
tell you.
Yeah. Tell us.
So I probably, it was probably like between 2015, 2016 when I started really diving into it as well. But I mean, I'd had periods because my oldest is going to be 13 in November. So I've I had been going through postpartum things since like 18, and prior to that, I had been diagnosed with depression, like clinical severe depression before age 15. And so that was a mixture of probably being that depressed and doctors telling me that I was this and there was only this fix and blah blah blah. So I got, and I didn't know how to let my emotions out around people that I was with. So I would keep them inside until there was so much shoved into me that I couldn't help but let it out. And it either came out in anger, which always led to crying, or just full out sadness. I was so fucking sad that I felt like the only way to deal with the world was just to end my life because
Mm.
uh, any number of things, insert whatever was going on, and I would take on the brunt of that. I am an empath, so I would feel the things around me, and I would feel that nobody wanted to deal with the things. And so, like, I felt like I was dealing with them alone, which would lead
Oh.
to having or wanting to just like, well, if I ended it, then maybe I could take all the pain away too, which I guess is like a a savior complex, but I didn't realize that that was going on either at the time.
Wow.
Um, and I think it was when I started smoking pot. That's when I really started being like, I can't run away from these things that I'm thinking. I
Yeah.
can't run away from these feelings. And it also made my brain just work faster. Not that it
Yes.
doesn't already. I'm an overthinker. And I wanted to communicate with the people around me. But no one knew how to listen to me, let alone had the attention span to even have a conversation with me while I was high. So I would oftentimes go to bed crying, like, I just want to talk to someone. I feel all alone. And I would just lay in bed crying and let my brain just take me wherever it wanted to go. And I had an ego death that way because I addressed all of these things within myself. And then at the end of this, I was like, well, what is this even doing? How is this good for me? It can't be good for me to just feel like this all the time. Uh, and I was sitting there thinking, love, that's the answer. Why don't I just love this stuff? And I didn't realize I was doing this. I didn't have a playbook. I was just sitting there by myself doing this. And I'm like, well, if I love them for all of these things that are ultimately ugly in the eyes of the world, or if I love me for all of these things that are ultimately ugly in the eyes of the world, then I can start to heal these things. And then I got really scared. I had to stop for a second, and my religious dogma brain kicked in and was like, well, now that you know like the answers to the universe, you're probably going to die because only God can know the answers to the universe.
Oh my God.
And I freaked myself the hell out there. But it was just, after that, it was just this gradual process of starting to see the beauty in the world while not suppressing all of the ugly shit that I was feeling.
I fucking love that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You almost can't like appreciate beauty without understanding like pain and, the ugly underbelly of things. I still wish those things weren't happening. I will be very clear about that. All the horrible things in the world, I wish they weren't happening, but still working on that.
I think that's why it's so easy for us as empaths to take
Mhm.
on those feelings because we
Yeah.
do want to take it away from the world. We want to save everyone, well, including ourselves.
Yes.
But like, I know that I feel like the people around me, if I'm making them happy, if they're able to feel better in the world, then maybe I can start to feel better in the world because I don't know. And then that's a mother thing too, like having
Mhm.
babies so young. I just want to take care of everyone. Even
Yeah.
if you don't necessarily think that I'm trying to take care of you, that's ultimately like the foundation of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Yeah, I actually remember I think it was like 13 or 14 years old, and my parents, like, we were about to go, I think we were about to go to church actually. But we were in the van and we were all piled up, me and my three siblings, and I think my best friend. And my parents were like, oh, this person that we knew a while ago, their son just died. And like, I think he died in like a motorcycle accident or something like that. But he was actually really, really young, and it was super sad. And I remember praying, like, let me take their pain away and yada da, stuff like that. And I spent like a couple years, like, unable to detach from other people's pain because I had, like, said that prayer and put that intention into the world. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not praying that anymore. Like, we're going to reword this next time. Because seriously, from like 13 or 14 to like 16, 17, I was just like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to die. I think I'm going to die. I don't even know if I'll do it. I feel like I'm just going to die from all that's inside me exploding.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not for your own accord. It's like it's just gonna happen. I'm gonna implode.
Yeah. It felt like I was going to spontaneously combust from all the fucking pain that I was absorbing from everyone. So now I'm more cautious about it.
I can definitely relate to that feeling. And I think that when I got to the point where I was like, let's end it, it would have been the way that it felt was like the energy would have just been released and it would have been like a balloon pop,
Yeah, dude. Yep.
which ultimately would have gone against everything that I thought I was trying to do. Just let that all back into the world in this crazy, traumatic way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Gotta transfer that. What I've learned about being an empath and picking up people's, I won't say negative energy, because we've kind of talked about that where it's kind of hard to place this negative, positive, light, dark kind of thing on that. But when people are having uncomfortable or upset emotions, and I've kind of realized that as empaths, part of our job is not to take away that energy from them, but to be like, what do you call that? Like almost like a medium of
like a conduit.
Yeah, like a conduit where you're kind of like transforming the energy. So like when I do I'll put my hands on my husband's head. I used to suck the energy out and I would immediately get a headache. But now I put one hand on one side, one hand on the other side, and I like look at it like a electrical current. And I like, as it passes through me, it changes color or, texture or whatever, and then it goes back into him. So I try to keep that in mind too, where I'm like, okay, don't hold on to the energy. Don't pull it away from someone because that, number one, depletes them and overloads you, and nobody wants that. Or it'll deplete you and overload them. So, just got to kind of keep it flowing just like electricity or like energy, just keep the current, keep it going.
Right. That's akin to what I've read about and, I somewhat try to practice where the fact that, we actually extend probably like 2 feet out from our body, right? And we're little sponges soaking up each other. And so it's like if someone is in this lower vibration, which does not mean bad, it just means a different vibration, you can try and bring yourself up a little bit higher to kind of like bring them up as well. Like we are constantly influencing each other with energy. But boy, yeah, being an angry 13-year-old and being around a bunch of other angry people, I really struggle with anger. I really struggle with it. Not that I have a lot of it, but I soak it up from other people, and then my Scorpio moon really holds on to it for a very, very long time. And having a father with an Aries moon does not help that. He's a wonderful man, but his Aries moon was definitely not his fault, but traumatizing to me as a child. Because anger, and it's same with like fucking loud noises. If like a bike goes by and I'm on the porch and it shakes, the whole neighborhood with how loud it is, like I feel like a visceral like pain from it, Oof, I'm not
Aries
good with aggression.
placements in parents can be very tricky. My parents have a Chiron in Aries. They're
That's
just
tough.
like, yeah, I see that, but get over it. Get over it and move on. I had to.
Right. You're like, well, do you want me to grow up exactly like you did? Because
That doesn't sound like a great idea. This Power of 3 episode has been brought to you by Tonic Vibe CBD products. Tonic's original CBD blends are handcrafted in small batches with purposeful plant-based ingredients. Using herbs like ashwagandha and superfoods like black seed oil, Tonic elevates the benefits of CBD to create a powerful way to heal the body, calm the mind, and restore balance. Their hemp-derived CBD and botanical blends create a completely holistic method to help you feel your best and #FixYourVibe. Use code WITCHY at tonicvibes.com for 10% off your order.
This episode of the Power of Three podcast is brought to you by Shock Rubs, because sex is magic. Shock Rubs is the first crystal sex toy company. Their sex toys are made from natural crystals that bring a sense of sacredness to your playtime. These beautiful handcrafted tools are created with the intention of opening oneself up to the healing properties that crystals provide. All toys are body safe, made from the earth, and provided with love. They create harmony in mind, body, and spirit, remove blocks caused by sexual trauma, create deeper intimacy with the self and with your partner, and even encourage self-awareness and mindfulness. So use the code WITCHYWISDOM on shockrubs.com at checkout for 10% off your purchase today.
Okay, I'm gonna quiz you guys. I'm not gonna quiz you guys, but I'm gonna ask you to give me one sentence on shadow work, which this is coming out the day before. I might as well just plug it right now. We all came together to create an ebook called Meetings with Shadow, and it's about shadow work, and there are going to be 12 essays on shadow work in it. And so I asked everyone who contributed to start off their essay with one sentence describing shadow work. So you don't have to remember your sentence exactly, but whatever the gist of it right now, what you can think of, give it to me.
I actually pulled mine up.
Cheater.
I know. I was like, oh my God, what's my sentence? I remember writing it, but then you know how sometimes you'll write things and be like, what exactly did I say? But my sentence about shadow work was, shadow work is the process of self-examination and emotional healing that allows space for spiritual and other types of growth. I tried to keep it as concise and yet applicable as possible because, you know, like we've already mentioned, it's hard to be like, oh, this is the ins and outs of shadow work. This is how and where and why. And, you know, it's very, very personal. And it is just basically you turning your eyeballs inside and fucking dealing with all the bullshit that you see. So have fun. Good luck.
Enjoy.
My sentence was, let's see, shadow work is the process of looking at yourself, looking at your emotions, looking at the thoughts that you usually bypass without judgment and with curiosity. So you have to be curious. Like, that's important. Ooh. Those are the two most important elements for me. It's like, you have to be curious. You have to be like kind of excited to look at it. There was a point when I was, you know, eating a lot of edibles at night and doing my shadow work where, you know, I'd be sitting grooving and then like something negative would pop up and I'd be like, oh, okay, yay. Like, here we go. Something to work with, you know? So having that curiosity and then, yeah, releasing the judgment. Like, I'm not going to judge myself for having done this thing in the past, having thought this thing, feeling this, you know, like, I'm not going to judge myself. I'm just going to now dive all the way the fuck in, just going to go down the rabbit hole.
Fuck yeah, dude. And that's almost akin to like people who become doctors and nurses. Like, even though what you're doing is kind of like, you also have to have that curiosity and that like ability to kind of push past what might otherwise make you vomit or cry. You know what I mean? Like, even if you are vomiting and crying, shadow work, not nurses. Please don't vomit and cry while you're doing your work. I salute you for all you do. But yeah, you know, shadow work wise, you might be vomiting and crying while you do it, but you still gotta want to put your hand in there and see what comes out.
I just have to say, after working in a hospital, vomiting and crying is regular. Just if you're gonna vomit, away from the patient.
That seems like a good rule.
Yeah.
My sentence was, shadow work is soul integration, finding the hidden parts and then seeing your wholeness.
I like that. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on the choice of sentence?
Yeah, I like to put things into like little concise bubbles because I understand it and then other people often don't. So that's my problem with communication. But well, like you guys have elaborated on, like digging deep, going down the rabbit hole of your darkness, finding these parts of yourself that you've either repressed or told yourself, this is too ugly, this is too much, this is too this is too that. I can't have you in my day-to-day life because then X, Y, and Z will happen. So you go back into those parts and you pull them up and you bring them up with you to the surface, and you start noticing the things why you were drawn to this particular darkness, why you started thinking that your body was not perfect, why you started thinking that your mind couldn't handle these things. And then you start loving it and integrating it into your daily life, like allowing some of those things to be part of your day to day, and moving into incorporating them into that.
Yep. Yeah, I like to think of the tarot card 18, the moon, as a shadow work card, because you're in the darkness, and I think it is nice to do shadow work at night for sure. It's just quieter. You can get more silence, but also, the moon, the light of the moon and being out at night kind of like distorts images. And so you got to kind of like work through, like, what am I seeing here? What is this truth? Like this all looks so strange and I don't understand what I'm looking at. Right. And then 19, the sun comes afterwards. And that truly is like the feeling that I would get after a night of just being high as fuck and like going down the rabbit hole of my bad habits or the terrible things I think about myself. I would wake up the next day and I would feel like that little baby riding a horse, You bring those things out into illumination, right? The sun illuminates. And that's what shadow work does. It's not like, ooh, I'm wrestling with my demons. It's like, no, you're like calling the little creatures out from the bushes in the nighttime, and then you're bringing it inside and it's a cute little bunny. It's fine. You're just bringing it out into the light now.
Sometimes these parts of our shadow aren't ugly parts at all. Sometimes they're the weird awkwardness, and like those are my favorite parts of people. Like all you Aquarius people, heavy Aquarius placements, all your weirdness, like just fully fucking lean into all of that. Don't shove that away into your shadow and start repressing it and not being your full authentic self. Just be weird. And maybe if you like the word weird, use it. If you don't like the word weird, then like change that. But just be you.
If, in the words of Bruno Mars, if you sexy, then flaunt it. And if you freaky, then own it. Sorry, that's how he says it in the song. I'm not trying to make fun of him. I love Bruno Mars. He's actually from Oahu, so fucking respect.
Oh, right.
Fucking love you, Bruno Mars.
My friend like paid hundreds of dollars to see Bruno Mars, but mainly because it was this whole fiasco with tickets and shit happening, and then they were already there and they'd already been drinking, and it was like, fine, let's pay the $400 for the VIP ticket because that's what they have.
Right, I swear that happens every time. This motherfucker sells the hell out. Like he fucking double fills stadiums. He came and did like a show on Oahu, like it was like a home kind of tour. Fucking, he had to like add shows because people were like, we can't get tickets. Every single show was sold out. Some people went twice. I was like, what in the hell? But we just honestly, like, as a people, we fucking always want to support our people who made it. Like any of our sports guys who make it to the NFL, any of our famous singers were like, yeah, fuck yeah, they're from Hawaii, I'm from Hawaii, fuck yeah. Like, it's a hype. It's a total hype.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, very cute.
We should all be like that to each other. That's what I want to fucking see in the world. Let's fucking hype each other, guys.
Seriously, let's gas each other the fuck up.
Yeah.
And if you're not good at gassing other people up, guess what? You probably need to gas yourself up first. That's kind of like one of the themes of shadow work,
Yep.
It's like I always have to bring it back inward, right? If I'm focusing a lot on the outward stuff and I'm not liking what I see or not liking how I'm showing up, it's like, oh, okay, all right, I got to spend some time in the dungeon real quick.
Whenever I feel jealous that my husband like talks about hot girls, because that's not like, I know for some relationships that's not fucking cool, and your rules for your relationship and all that, but for us, I like to talk about hot dudes and hot chicks. He likes to talk about hot chicks. cool. Like, that's our thing. So when I feel myself getting jealous of like a hot chick he's talking about, or when I'm like, oh, fuck her, blah, 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 or if I use like, if I call her like a slut or a whore, I instantly like inner me like fucking gives myself a backhand, and I'm like, you go sit down and you go tell yourself 5 things that you love about your body, that you love about your face, that you love about whatever, you know, like, get the hell out of here with that bullshit. Like, shut the fuck up. Just because that woman is sexy and badass does not take away from the fact that I'm sexy and badass, or that you guys are sexy and badass, or Lizzo is sexy and badass. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it doesn't fucking take that away from you, you know? And the more that we show up and question ourselves, like, I see a lot of women doing that, where they're like, no, I love hot women. I love successful women. Like, I want to be around that energy. I want to support you. And every time I see that, I'm just like, oh my God, we're finally getting it.
I definitely love hot women.
Oh, fuck yeah. Especially hot women who are like badass. I'm like, fuck yeah. You
All
shoot
of
guns? Cool.
Your wedding pictures encompass that for me.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, I love your wedding pictures.
Oh, I'm a punk rock wedding.
Yeah.
We
You're a
planned
little
it in like
punk.
2 weeks.
I love it.
It's the best event ever. I would do it again. That's actually why I'm an ordained minister, because I had so much fun doing my weird ass off the kilter kind of wedding. And I'm like, I want to help other people do that. You want to have a weird ass wedding in your front lawn? Let's do that, baby.
Ella is at your service. So, what have been the shadow work things popping up in your life right now? Because, spoiler alert, everyone at home, you never stop doing shadow work because because of change, because we are, life is impermanence. Nothing remains the same, and we tend to feel comfortable when things are the same. And then as soon as something changes, then a little voice starts to pop up and make you freak out a little bit. So it's constant.
I've been dealing with body things lately. Like hella bad. Well, I lost 80 pounds after my last daughter was born, and probably a little bit more than that. I was like 15 smaller than I am now. So I was like, fuck yeah, this is really amazing. I feel really good about myself. I have a lot of energy. I'm doing a lot of yoga. I'm talking really fast. And then I started dating my ex again, my daughter's dad. And he likes some of the finer things in life, like processed food and watching a lot of TV and smoking pot and sweets and those kinds of things. And I'm like, that's really great. And I like doing it I liked to do it in moderation. And I liked to try to find recipes that were still more my diet while still having fun. Like, I can make some bomb ass cheesecake that has like almost no sugar in it, but you wouldn't know that. So I do like to spoil myself with these decadent foods, but I like them to be like worthy of putting in my temple because I put so much work into it. Anyway, so that got me spiraling down. Like, I just eat whatever he wanted to eat because it was easier for me to give up my lifestyle than for him to give up his lifestyle. And he's been gone since November, and I'm still like, well, I just want to fucking eat things, and that's okay. But I had to deal with like the way my body changed. And some of it is muscular because I moved to a 3-story walk up. So my legs feel that. And I'm not as flexible as I was when I moved in here. And I carry my weight differently. And we have mirrors on our closet, so I cannot escape my reflection at all. It's like always looking at me.
Yeah.
So I just have to like realize that like this is the body that I have, and it's carrying me up these 3 flights of stairs every day, and it's making sure that I'm making it through the work day without passing out. And I'm able to do all of these things because I have this body. And why the fuck am I like feeling bad because my clothes fit a little bit different, or insert number of things that you feel about your body throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that's been heavy.
I'm in the same boat. Lots of body stuff since the last new moon, because my intention was, to be in the vibration of love, but then other shadow stuff kept popping up, which I'll talk about myself in a second. But I do want to share that like one thing that I've seen recently was that, of course, these are like our vessels to experience the human realm, right? It's so our souls can experience this. And so, we might know that, but still, when that's what you're looking at all the time, when that's what you're seeing in the mirror, you identify as this thing, right? It's not there's no shame in like struggling with like really truly understanding that you are a soul who is using this body to experience this life, right? Like I understand it logically, but sometimes I cannot internalize that. But I did see that when you're like stressing out about what your vessel looks like, an important thing to do is to use it to experience something, right? Because that's what it's for. So like what can I experience right now with this body, and like kind of appreciating and really like being mindful about what that experience is like.
I fucking love that. That is really cool. That's kind of how I feel, you know, when I go like on a hike. It's like, oh, I'm really alive in this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very alive.
Yeah.
I feel
Like
more than
even-
just an avatar.
Like even just touching stuff like, ooh, my body can do that. This is cool. I can feel texture.
Ooh, this is tingly.
Yeah.
I like smoking weed because it like makes me feel my body. And I used to not like this about it, so I was kind of slow to getting into the pot smoking. Because my muscles would just like tense up and I could just feel everything. I could feel like every molecule in my body, and I was like, I don't like this. But now I'm like, oh, I could feel that muscle. I could like isolate that muscle and feel all the tingliness there, and I don't know, it just feels cool. Or like I'll run my hand up my arm and just feeling that light touch, and it's just so much more intense when I'm high.
Yeah. Yeah. And even just like I like touching my body. And when I'm sitting right here with you guys right now and I'm not looking at a mirror, I feel fine. Like being in my body does not feel bad. It's literally like, and I used to do this when I was first learning to love my body. Like I would just be like, okay, well, I think today's a no mirror day. Like let's just avoid mirrors at all cost. If you need to look in it because you want to see what you look like before you leave the house, like 10 seconds and then walk away, you know? And so I feel for you for your big ass mirrors in your bedroom, because yeah, it can be really helpful, because it's like I feel good. I can even just hold on to my tummy and I feel fine. I can shake my whole body and I like the way it feels. But then sometimes you just pass by that mirror and you're like, oh my God, I am a whale. I'm just a garbage bag. I'm a busted can of biscuits.
I have not taken a good selfie since I moved into this house because of those mirrors. I'm just going to correlate it to that, because it's like I'll look into the mirror and I see one thing, and then I turn my camera on and I'll see another thing, and it's just really fucked with my head.
Yeah. I took a picture in a pair of pants the other day, you know, because I wanted to wear them, but it's still too hot to wear these pants. And I was looking at myself wearing them. I was just wearing a sports bra within. I was like, I look so cute. And then I like took the picture and I was like, Jesus, how did my hips grow so much?
Fucking cameras, I swear to God.
I posted
Assholes.
it anyway because that's, you know,
Good
that's
for you.
helpful
I
for
thought they
me.
were cute, by the way, but we all
Yeah,
know
definitely.
on this podcast that I have an obsession with Jasmine's pants.
Yeah, they're men's pants, obviously. You know, I love men's pants, and I love that you love me in men's pants.
You like to get in men's pants? Is that what you said?
Yes, absolutely. Put that on the record. But yeah, I've been really struggling with my body. I've gained like a little bit since quarantine started, but you know, I got on the scale the other night and then like my TV wasn't working, so I had to call Robert and ask him to help me, and he was like, "You sound tired." And I'm like, I'm not tired. I just got on the scale. He was very sweet, but I was just like, oh my gosh,
God.
what a fucking sentence I had to say to him. Like, oh no, I'm just sobbing because I got on the scale.
Whatever. My husband would have teased me. I mean, you know, that's kind of part of our relationship too, is just teasing the shit out of each other. But
Robert
yeah,
teases
no.
me all the time, and we do
Okay, that's
enjoy
good.
that, but I'm so fucking sensitive too that sometimes I look at him and I'm like, if you say one more snarky fucking comment, I'm going to cry. We'll joke about it. You know, I'm like, I'll be like, okay, I'm just drinking some extra water so I can cry more tonight. Make sure I'm hydrated. But yeah, I think for me, a lot of it is feeling out of control, because like, of course, so many things are not within my control in 2020, period. And then
Like
just
the way people flirt with you. Hold on, this is exactly on point for this conversation.
Okay, I'm super excited.
So well, I won't say the exact message. They said that I had piercing yet kind eyes, symmetrical, inviting lips, Nice proportions. I don't like super skinny girls.
Are they a organ harvester? I just don't understand
I
the
don't
weird specific
I
bodily
don't
detail.
know.
That's super
But like
odd.
also you like my proportions. You could have stopped at that. Why did you have to go, I don't like skinny girls?
He could have just said that he
I didn't even
finds you
catch that.
beautiful. He
Yeah,
doesn't have to
just
talk about it
you're
like a
hot.
serial
The
killer.
end.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know.
hey, I think
They're
you're
a Virgo.
beautiful.
I don't understand Virgo men. I don't.
Oh, okay. He's a
Oof.
Virgo. Okay. So
I
the
don't
thing is,
Yeah.
understand
they
it.
have to explain everything to the most finite detail.
Well,
Especially when they're trying to be dicks. Fucking idiots.
leave out the comment on size because you can have
Yeah.
whatever preference you want. You don't know me well enough to know how I feel about my body yet for you to even be bringing that up.
And how uncomfortable is it just to hear how much he's really observed and like meticulously inspected your body? You know, like that kind of feels like a violation to me.
Ugh. Like you're at a
Mm.
fucking cattle show or some shit, and
I'm
he's
like,
like, "Oh, grade
I've been
A."
with this body for 31 years and that's what I do. That's okay. Well, it's not okay. But you've only known me for a little while.
Yeah.
Not your
If
business,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm hot, if you think that I'm hot, just say that. I don't need that detail because
exactly.
then I start critiquing myself
Yeah.
even more.
Or even if he said like,
Exactly.
"Oh, grr, I like your curves" or something, like that's
Yeah,
still kind
that
of
would
a
have been
compliment.
fine.
You know, like I love the shape of your body. Like, cool, that's fine. Thank you for
I'm in love
appreciating
with the
me.
shape
I mean, yeah,
of
I know
you.
I'm
Yeah.
a goddess. Continue.
Okay.
Leo Moon.
And that's okay. I'm okay with being curvy. I know that I'm
Yeah.
not like a super small petite woman. That's fine. And they're
Curvy is
hot
sexy.
too.
Yeah.
But when you start bringing in words like skinny or the, whatever, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel good.
Well, and it's still a comparison. He's
It's
still
still a
putting a
comparison.
comparison into the
He,
quote unquote compliment.
right.
Like, I've had people call me so skinny that if I turned sideways, I'd disappear. And I didn't like that. I was like, would you say that to your mother? And the guy was like, oh, it was a compliment. I'm like, are you sure?
Is it?
Was that a compliment? Or did you just kind of like make me feel shitty for being so small? Like, I know I'm
Also,
short. I've been run over by my friends many times. I know I'm small. Like, thank you.
like if you didn't
Comments to
offer
yourself.
up an invitation to make a
No.
comment about your body, no one needs to do that.
Yeah, it was when I was like at a restaurant like hostessing, and I had like said something about our chips because they're delicious, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can go through like three baskets of those, which is the truth. I can eat the shit out of everything. But I was just like, there was no need for that compliment, and that was not a compliment. Like, just
That's like I'm letting you know that you are worthy in my world because of XYZ. And nobody needs that validation at all.
no.
Unless we're gonna date and then you can be like, your body turns me the fuck on.
Yeah, and then he can talk
End
about your
sentence.
piercing kind eyes and your symmetrical lips because then you've invited him into your world and your life and you've
Yeah.
invited him to observe you and then you
That's
can
pillow talk.
yeah,
Tell me
then that's
after.
like cute and fun, but unless like you have opened that up, that's just fucking
Oh, I
serial
mean,
killer stuff.
he like specifically had to ask me if I thought he was attractive, and I'm like, yeah, I like gingers. It's cool. Yeah, you got some muscles. It's good. But then I don't even know how we got into it. He was just basically like, you're smart enough to know that I think you're attractive. And I'm
What
like,
the
okay,
fuck is with
you
Virgo
can't
men?
even compliment me, and then you have to go into this weird detail that makes me feel not good.
I will say one thing about Virgo men is they truly fuck.
All
Oh, I
right.
bet. I
Okay.
bet.
I
They're
mean,
perfectionists.
that's in the pro column.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mhm.
Honestly, yeah. Like usually like Aries and Scorpio gets all the acclaim for being into the bedroom, but Virgos get my number one vote personally because they are freaky and it's the perfectionist thing, you know, like they want to do the job good and they want to try out other stuff and they're just
Mhm.
they also, you know, love to talk, so they're good with dirty talk generally and I
ooh,
like that.
hot. I love dirty talk.
If this specific Virgo man is listening to this because you are aware of this podcast, I still think you're hot. Just maybe learn how to compliment a woman a little better.
Yeah, you still sexy, boo. We just try and give you some tips here. Sorry for what I said about Virgo men.
I'm not. It's true.
I won't generalize you. That's rude. And
Let's
as we always discuss on
generalize
this
about
podcast, it's
men.
not just about your sun sign. You got to think about your other aspects. Maybe you have other shitty Virgo aspects as well if you're a shitty Virgo dude. But if you're not a shitty Virgo dude, then maybe you have other awesome, like, I don't know, Leo vibes or something, or Scorpio vibes, or, you know.
You know.
You don't know.
I always end up being friends with benefits with Virgos because like we always are like very matched with our wits and our jokes and sexually compatible. But like when it comes to the romance aspect of it, it's never there.
That wit, that is true. I feel that. That's the only thing that's like, okay, I'm going to keep going back for that.
It's fun. I mean, I've got a Aquarius Venus, so like if you can stimulate my mind, then you can stimulate my clit.
Woo!
Good to know.
Take that to the bank, bitches.
Mm-hmm.
This episode of the Power of Three podcast has been brought to you by BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is an online platform with licensed therapists who are ready to help you wherever you might exist across the multiverse. Now, you must be 18 years or older to use this service, and BetterHelp is not a crisis line, but you can start communicating with someone within 24 hours. They have financial aid available to qualifying individuals. This is a secure, convenient, and affordable platform for your counseling services. Use the URL betterhelp.com/witchy to get your first week free.
This episode is brought to you by Let's Get Checked at-home health testing system. Let's Get Checked is all about personal health testing, making healthcare and health screening open and patient-led, empowering people to use technology in a simple but powerful way, and giving greater control to their personal health. They have a range of tests, including STD testing across all genders, fertility tests, celiac tests, general wellness, and more. Use the code WITCHY on letsgetchecked.com at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
Okay, Ella, so what's been some shadow work stuff popping up with you?
I was hoping we were going to forget about me.
Never can.
Yeah, right. Probably, okay, so I wouldn't call myself a people pleaser, but at the same time, having negative effects on anyone else really like fucking bums my trip on everything. Like I can't stop thinking about the way other people feel. You know, I'm a very altruistic person just in general. Sometimes I get selfish and I think about only myself, but lately I have been coming up against being able to use my words in the best possible way to like set my boundaries, because you know, I keep, not that anyone is bad or that anyone's really like trying to take advantage of me, but just understanding my own worth as far as like, you know, my services and my products and like just who I am and what I bring to the table, because I am a helpful person. Like if someone asks me for help, like I'm not going to send you a fucking invoice, you know, like I'm going to show up at your door. We're going to get the job done. And like, that's that, you know, if you're someone I love and you're someone I know, I'm just that kind of person. And part of the lessons right now, especially like, you know, with losing a big chunk of unemployment payments and not having a job to go back to, and my husband's job being really unsure, you know, it's just like, okay, I actually have to put a little value on myself, because I can't survive in this world just giving all my energy away for free. Because when I do that, I come home, I don't have it to cook, I don't have it to clean, I don't have it to do the podcast, I don't have it to do my business, you know. So I've had to learn when to tell people that I'm uncomfortable with something. I had a situation even yesterday where someone just kind of kept crossing my boundaries in my messages, and I just like, no matter what I said, it was never acknowledged that my boundary was crossed. And so I've just had to learn to be like, you know what, I don't fucking care that you don't understand. I'm not wasting any more time on this. My boundary is my boundary. If you don't respect it, then get the fuck out of here. I don't really care, you know. So yeah, so just kind of like valuing myself, setting boundaries. Also with like the whole pandemic thing, I know that the continental United States might not be the same as us, but we are like shut the fuck down. Like things are not in any way normal here. Most people are not going to work. You know, you still see people at the beach and out doing stuff, but you know, we don't operate in the same way. And this is a place where we very much like rely on that interaction in that community. Like we're like a small town, you know, basically like our whole island is a small town. We always show up for each other. We always care for each other. We always, you know, we always do that. And to have this whole thing go on is really stressful, because in my mind, with both elderly and immune compromised people in my life, I can't be taking chances that are going to jeopardize them. Again, it's that altruism where I'm like, in my decisions to hang out with certain friends or to hang out with certain people or to go to certain events, I have to consider, okay, well, this family and these people are all in my immediate circle. I see them all the time. If I contract it, is what I did worth sacrificing their life? Like, that's what I'm meeting everything with. I know it might sound a little drastic, but I was telling this to my parents yesterday on the phone. I honestly, all the information that I read, all the sources that I go to, every video I watch, everything I fucking listen to, I still know nothing about this fucking pandemic. I know nothing about this disease. I don't understand any of it. I don't know what makes it travel and what stops it. I don't know what cures it and what doesn't. And so for me, I'm on hyperactive duty, and I didn't piss off my friend, but I definitely I think I did kind of hurt her feelings a little bit, because at one point, we had talked about hanging out, and she was like, oh, I want to bring my new boyfriend. And I was like, okay, I am not comfortable with that. I'm so sorry. I love you. But and I just kind of explained to her how I keep telling people, I'm like, I'm putting things on pause because I can't risk these people's lives. My son's best friend, we hang out with them for our little, basically our social aspect of schooling at home. We hang out with them, and the daughter is like my son. She has holes in her heart, and I'm like, that makes her super susceptible to this. And there's so many cases of little susceptible babies getting COVID and fucking dying, and I'm like, I will not forgive myself if that baby gets COVID because of me, and they sure as fuck will not forgive me if that baby gets COVID. And so, I've had to make some tough decisions and kind of not piss people off, but very firmly and very kindly set that boundary of hey, nothing against the hippies on my island. I fucking love my hippies and my spiritual people, but some people aren't taking it very seriously, and that's their choice in their life not to. But to me, I will do everything in my power, even if it's an inconvenience, even if it looks like I'm a fucking sheep to the government or whatever. I don't fucking care what it looks like. I will do everything to protect the people I love. And setting that boundary has ruffled some feathers, and I don't care anymore. I'm definitely working through it to the point where I'm like, I know what I'm doing enough to trust myself, I'm making this decision out of love. Like Jess was saying, meet fucking everything with love and make your decisions from there,
Well, and that's the thing about setting boundaries as well,
Mm-hmm.
is it comes from a place of love.
Yes.
They do. And I do think working with people's boundaries has been a big thing, because there are going to be people in your life who, one of my friends I didn't see, because I do see my friends these days, but I didn't see one of my friends for 3 months. I mean, I didn't see any of my friends for 3 months, but one of my friends was she came over because we'd been living together, and she moved out, and so she left her cast iron skillet and had to come over, and one of our other roommates went to give her a hug, and she jumped away from her. And then my roommate was talking to me later. She's like, dang, Cammy just straight up jumped away from me. I'm like, I mean, we have to respect her boundaries. She's very afraid. She was very afraid in the beginning. She's just an anxious person, which we all are. But, it's I had to just be okay, we have to respect Cammie's boundaries, for her, I mean, mental health, physical health, whatever it is right now. You just gotta say, okay, babe.
And the holistics of your health, if your spiritual, physical, or emotional body is out of alignment, the rest of it is not in alignment either. I can feel it when I'm fucking depressed. My whole body is haywire. But if I'm in a decent mental state, I'm regulating my own emotions and trying not to let some of them take control and just kind of allowing my feelings. Usually my body's fine, honestly. I don't have a lot of issues. I try to eat as best I can. But yeah, dude, it's really sad, because I've seen a few people, neighbors, who don't talk to each other anymore because one person was like, hey, I want to keep a distance. You just came back from the mainland or from the other island, let's give it a week or two, and they're like, fuck you, you asshole, basically. And it's dude, come on. Does it really mean, are you really that hurt that someone cares about them and their family's health? That's kind of my question right now for people who are offended. It's
yeah, or the fact that just someone thinks about this differently than you do. That's okay. This is a new thing for most of us to be experiencing. I know that I don't agree with a lot of the things that you guys do, but I don't fucking care that you guys feel that way. Like, do it.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself. Do what you
Yes.
feel is right. Because as long as you're coming from that place of, like, I'm doing this to make sure that this is better for me, for my family, for the people around me, then it really doesn't matter what everyone else around you is thinking.
Right. Right.
Yep. And being able to respect your own boundaries is a big component of going through shadow work. Like, I did not come by that easily. Like, this time last year, I was selling my products for too cheap. I was giving stuff away. Like, constantly, I was giving shit away, just trying to, like, oh, it's good marketing. It's fucking not good marketing. If you are a crafter, every once in a while doing a giveaway, every once in a while doing, like, a promo item, I'm always down to do, like, charity and auction stuff. I'm always down to donate for that. But if it's just like some influencer that you think is going to give you fucking clout on the internet or with their friends, it's probably not worth your time. Give them a discount code instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking learning to value yourself is really hard because it
Well,
means looking at all your shit and loving it.
Right, right. And through shadow work, that's when you kind of start to recognize boundaries, because you're gonna see things and recognize, like, oh, I don't think I should be showing up in that way, because I want to lean more so into self-love. I want to have more, like, protect my energy more, so I'm not so tired or not always extending myself for other people. And you realize that as you do shadow work. And so the more you do shadow work, the more it, like, fortifies your ability to just be like, hey, I'm sorry, I actually have to say no to that, because you don't even have to give it because all the time.
Yeah, no, that's true.
The beautiful thing about setting those boundaries, though, is you get to see how people react to you setting your boundaries. And then based on how they react, you can be like, okay, well, I guess this relationship was not one that needed to come with me forward and was probably taking more of my energy and other things that I didn't even realize now. Because if you can't respect someone else placing a boundary, then you really need to go back and look at yourself. Why are you having such a hard time with this person placing this boundary on their own life?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have to accommodate their boundary. Chances are you probably weren't going to be around long enough to even figure that out had they not told you that.
Yeah. And fortunately, I've met up with a bunch of people where we, like my friend with her boyfriend, she's not mad at me. We're still friends, like it didn't, probably put a little bit of a strain on our relationship for, a few days there, but I really don't think it's going to, like, make us not be friends or anything. So, try to respect people as much as possible. But honestly, if someone's just not respecting your boundary, it's okay to say no and walk away. You don't owe them an explanation. You don't owe them fucking closure. No.
I love that you brought that up about her, though, because that's, like, allowing her to also have her feelings around it and for her to be able to process it. Not everyone can process in an instant second and be like, okay, I'm over it. No, I got to go home for 3 days and I figure it out and think about it and maybe talk to a friend. And then I'm like, okay, well, now it doesn't actually matter anymore and I'm okay with what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Like, at first your ego gets hurt. That's usually it. So, like, doing shadow work is also important for when other people are setting boundaries and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like, I feel hurt because of that. But then, yes, having a couple days, I'm a chewer. I need a couple days to process things sometimes, and yeah, your friend got to sit and be like, okay, well, no, I love Ella and I'm respecting her and I see where she's coming from, even if it might be different than how I am doing things right now. And I'm sure you guys will be golden.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that when you do come up to people who, you kind of like tap on each other's boundaries, when you're able to work past that, it really strengthens, like, that relationship. It really does. Like, being able to respect each other past your ego and past what you're comfortable or past your opinion is fucking huge. That is the true love that this world fucking needs, is being able to see the difference and being like, I love you with this difference, not despite it, not if you're working on it. I love you with this difference,
Right. And in this year, when we are so divided and there is so much ego and there's so much aggression happening, definitely something I keep going back to is like, okay, like, it's a pillar of a spiritual community that we literally are all one. Like, we are all connected. And so you just kind of have to sit with that, like, okay, how do I give love to me and give love to that person? And it's like, yeah, we kind of disagree with people. And I think there are horrible people in the world. there is love available for all of us, and I can hold space for that while also having discernment with, choices that people make that I don't agree with.
Yep. It can coexist, folks.
Every time I go back to okay, I can just love that person, or we're all one, it's like the first thing that pops up into my head is Donald Trump every time. And I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to love that one.
Oh my gosh.
Literally every time.
A hard one to love.
Mine would be Biden. I can't love him. I don't. And I keep seeing everybody posting about him and being like, he's our only hope.
No, he's
such
not.
a fucking racist.
No.
He's just the person who's going to appoint Ruth Bader Ginsburg's new position. That is literally
has that been announced? Or are we
No,
still,
that's
like,
whoever
waiting?
the next president is replaces Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh.
We're literally I'm only voting for Biden so that Donald Trump does not decide who gets that spot. That is literally the only reason.
And maybe if we're lucky, Biden will die halfway through.
He's gonna do. So terrified of what he's gonna do.
I just hate that
both of them, all of the sides. None of these sides are good.
No.
There's no lesser. They're evil people.
They are a part of an evil system that creates evil people. I'm sure Biden was maybe a nice kid, but
we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there.
I don't see anyone going through the political structure, the political system, and coming out a good person. I just don't think any of them are. Like, they aren't. Not in America. Not here in the U.S.
It's time to dismantle the system. Not like let's go blow it all up and burn it all down or whatever, but like let's we just need a restructuring where it's the people build this and putting different parameters on it so you don't have people in office for 65 years not doing shit that the people actually need.
Yeah, we need term limits on Congress and Senate. Straight up. Like, I don't know why there's not. What the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Idiots.
The whole system is fucked up. It's too tied into capitalism. It's all this knit little web of just fucked upness. So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in America, and it's just going to take time.
Aren't we coming up on our time as a nation also before things start to crumble? Like Rome got to about this before it.
Yeah, at about the 200 to 300 year mark, most societies go through a big upheaval.
Yes, because that's when they go through their fucking Pluto return, and we are in our Pluto return right now.
Oh, snap. I did not even think about Pluto.
You smart ass.
Sneaky little planet. Holy shit.
We as humans never go through Pluto returns because it takes about 256 years. It depends because Pluto's pretty erratic with its orbit, but usually around 250 years. And we are in our Pluto return.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That, honestly, it makes a lot of sense.
Right?
It really does. It makes so much sense.
That's why there's so much shadow work stuff happening in the world.
Could you even imagine making it to your own Pluto return? Like, how fucking different the world will be?
Ugh, no thanks.
I have can't even comprehend how much time.
Yeah. I was thinking the other day, what would it be like, though, if we could have 200 years? What if we just, half-timed our growth rate, and could get to 200? What would that be like,
I'm only at 30. I don't know if I want to find out.
But just if we had more time and we could just go a little slower. But I guess we could always just recognize that we don't have to move fast right now anyway and make time go slower.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Time's an illusion.
But I try to think about that as often as possible because, people in old age they generally will tell young people that they're moving too quick and going too fast and that they need to slow the fuck down. So sometimes I'm like, okay, Jasmine, remember, slow the fuck down. That's because I am a fucking daughter of Kronos. I am double Saturn ruled with both Aquarius and Capricorn. And I'm always thinking about time. I'm always thinking about death. That's the Scorpio moon. I'm always thinking about getting older. I'm always preparing for that. I remember being 11 and scrunching my face up at the sun and being like, ooh, no, stop, wrinkles. Just always aware that my skin was going to change.
Death and sex were the things that I thought about a lot. If I could die while having sex, Just like, that's the perfect way to go.
I still hope that's how I go.
That's amazing.
Maybe a little traumatizing for the other person, but fuck you.
Well, in my scenario here, we have this really cool cliff going into the town that my mom lives in, and it's people have died there before. So I was like, well, why don't we just like get in this car, start fucking it, and drive it off the cliff?
Okay.
That's the full scope of my 3 signs right there.
Yeah, that really is. It really is.
That's a vibe.
Yeah, that's quite the murder-suicide.
Thelma and Louise meets fucking Mickey and Mallory. I dig it.
That's punk rock.
Punk rock as fuck.
Okay, you guys. All right. Wow, this has been a wonderful conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, tomorrow the book Meetings with Shadow comes out. It's fucking dope. It is so dope. As we record this, I'm still working on the order that all the essays are going to go in and getting it formatted and all that good stuff. But like, I seriously will be sitting at my computer reading over the essays and just like getting so excited, like
Oh, that's so cool.
shaking my fist with excitement because it's so amazing. You know, no two person says the exact same thing about shadow work. There's so many different tools that we have available for people. So if you listen to this and you want to know more about how to work with shadow work, you want to hear more perspectives on shadow work, absolutely buy the book. There you go.
And we will probably have a link to it in our bio. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that we're gonna do that. I know it's not tomorrow yet, but it will be there at least by this weekend of posting this episode. It will be in our bio, easy to find. You can always find it too at satin.saturn on Instagram. Jasmine will have the link for you. So, I mean, I didn't even realize who all was in it until everyone started posting, and I was like, oh my god, yours is in it? I can't wait to read it. Oh my god, yours is in it? I can't wait to read it. I'm like, yes!
I know. I love Lenore's. I will just say that her sentence is...
Oh god, I'm so excited. I'm excited already.
Her sentence for shadow work is fucking your demons. I saw that. It was just like,
is it really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god. If you haven't listened to that episode, also go back and listen to Lenore Black's episode. Probably, I can't remember what it is, but it's in season 2.
Yeah.
But it's very good. She's like, in my mind, I don't know anyone else, maybe besides the 3 of us, who could really top the shadow work queen kind of title, you know? She's a real good one. She's got some shit. Yeah. I'm so fucking excited to read hers. I didn't realize it was in it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is it out yet? Is it out yet?
I know, I gotta finish it so you guys
Are
can
you
all read
pre-ordering?
Duh. Of course I am.
Of course I am.
Oh.
Okay, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to check out the book. It's going to be so amazing. We're all obviously excited about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram, Power of 3 Podcast. Make sure to email us if you have any questions, powerof3witchpodcast@gmail.com. Definitely sign up for our Patreon. We have hella videos up. We have your astrology August forecast up to check out still. Yeah. That's us. We also have a Facebook
fucking
group.
Love your shadow.
Yeah. Go fuck your shadow in a sexy way. All right, we'll catch you.
It doesn't have to be sexy if you don't want it to be.
True. I mean, yeah.
Cry on your shadow.
Cry on your shadow?
A lap dance is always better when the stripper is crying. That's not true, but that's
the
what
Bloodhound
baby thinks
gang
about.
That's the Bloodhound
like
gang
1
song,
second
huh?
of silence between us.
Oh, fuck yeah.
All right, witches, we'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.
Peace out, bitches.